Welcome, friends. This is Travis Call, and I'm with T-Call Fitness. And one part of my website is Business for Japanese. And what we are looking at here is an introduction to a textbook that we are using at Utah Valley University for the Business Japanese course. And I'm going to introduce that text here and then create subsequent videos where we will go through each area of study in the booklet using slides that I have created in the past and am currently creating and updating as we go along to make the process as smooth as possible to be able to study and learn key points of business Japanese language that will allow you and give you the tools so that you can negotiate in a business transaction, so that you can communicate and use proper grammar that will knock the socks off of the native Japanese people who are doing business with you as a foreigner of Japan. So here we go. The name of the book, the English name is called We Mean Business, and it's from the Japanese for Business People series. In Japanese, the Japanese title is Shodan no Tame no Nihongo, and that's what we have here on this page. And this is an introduction to chapter 1. So before we get into the introduction, which will be in a different video, I'm going to show you where you can get the book, and fairly easily. So let's venture on to the internet. Now what you will do is go into your browser bar, your URL bar, and enter the URL Japanese for business.com. Enter that in and will be taken to my website. Click on the relevant article and scroll down, and this is an article I wrote in January. I'm not sure the exact date. Around January 7th is when I posted this article about Japanese to English translation, and we're using an excerpt from the text here to demonstrate how translation or machine translation through translate google.com or other tools online doesn't exactly give us the English that we could understand. It doesn't convert the Japanese into English that we can comprehend, more or less. But if you come to this page and either click on the name of the book here or click on the icon here of the textbook, you will be taken to a website where you can get your own copy of the book if you're here in the US. And so what you'll do is you'll come to the White Rabbit Japan page, you'll take your mouse over Learn Japanese and scroll down to Business Japanese, and you'll notice that it is located here at the top, and click on the icon there, and you will see that you can purchase the book for $35.50 through White Rabbit Japan, and it'll gives you a little bit of background summary of what the book is and what the textbook does for you there. And here's another book in the series. It's, I believe, the first book, and it's Getting Down to Business, lower intermediate level. The book that I'm showcasing here is the intermediate level, so a little bit higher advanced. Not quite advanced, but intermediate level. So let's go back here and toggle back to our presentation and introduce to you what this chapter 1 is about, and take a look. Now, if you don't know Japanese, you can't read Japanese, then this course is going to be too advanced for you, and you will want to either purchase the book or maybe take another course where you can learn how to read and some courses require you to write and speak. So speaking the language is one thing, reading the language is a totally different thing, and writing is a whole other element in and of itself. But each chapter contains four different stages. So stage one is the introduction and the practice of the grammar, the key grammar that you will use inside of the office. That's what this means here, shanai, and outside of the office, what you use outside, so shagai. And here's the grammar, the three main grammar for speaking in the office that you'll study in this particular chapter, and the three main grammar elements that you'll study or learn for speaking outside of the office. So every chapter is set up in this fashion, where you have the inside office language and the outside office language. Not every chapter is going to have three elements. Some have two, some have four, some may have more. So that is stage one. And you'll start out with speaking in the office. And under stage one, you may have, like we just saw, we saw three elements. And so the first is an introduction, very basic dialogue between two people in the office. And then you practice it again in Renshu ni. And there's a key point that you can study as you learn the different grammar. And then you go to the second point. And then after you get that basic understanding of how to use the grammar, then you practice it with another example. Then you go to the third point and again practice with another example. And then after that, after you learn what the grammar is and practice it once, then you go to a role play section where again you go through the three main points, or however many points there are. So here there's point 1, point 2, and point 3, and there's a role play for each of them. After that, then you move on to the shagai, speaking outside the office, and the structure is exactly the same. So you start with the basic grammar element, and then you move and practice that, and then you go to the second element and practice that, and the third element and practice that, and then you go into the role play. So this is the standard structure of all the chapters. And point 1 and point 2 and point 3, and then after that you enter into stage 2. Now stage 2, to really get a benefit of this textbook, you would need to purchase the book, because the book does come with a CD, and it also comes with a text guide, and the text guide has the suggested dialogues, the complete dialogue between all participants in the dialogue, as if you were reading a script and you were a part of a play or part of the show as an actor, where you could read the script, and it gives you full access. So in these slides we just give an overview of what is in the dialogue, but again still we cover all the different elements of shanai, speaking in the office, and the grammar pieces here, as well as a role play for that in-office example. And then you go to out of office, speaking out of the office, and again we go over elements. Now there are some new elements, and generally that's the case. Principle upon principle, you learn more as you go along. And so you do learn other elements and different ways to say similar things. So for example, if we go back, we can see that here, henka wo setsume suru. So explaining change, or how things are changing. There's three different ways to say that here. Nani nani tekiteimasu. So it's arriving at a certain stage. Maybe the population of people purchasing the word processor is increasing. So you could say nani nani tekiteimasu. Takaku natte kiteimasu. So it's increasing. Another way to explain it is henka ga miraremasen. So actually saying that we don't see any change whatsoever over time. Maybe you've done a survey over 7 years and there's really no change. And then another way, keiko ga arimasu. So if it appears that the number of 20-year-olds purchasing the word processor is going down, and you expect that to continue, then you could say hikuku naru keiko ga arimasu. So there seems to be a tendency for a decrease even in the future. So each chapter and each stage builds upon itself and continues to teach you new elements, new ways to say things, or new ways to say the same thing, or maybe an opposing viewpoint. So that's stage 2, and again with a role play after each element there, and then you jump into stage 3, and stage 3 usually has anywhere from 1 to 4 examples of dialogues that talk about completely different topics. However, the content or the vocabulary is the same, because that's what we're driving home here. Is we start with the basics, and then we build upon that in stage 2 with complete dialogue, and then build upon that in stage 3 as we introduce new words, new topics, and that helps you get exposure to the Japanese words, not only the vocabulary and the grammar, but also the new words and how to expand your knowledge into different areas. So here, for example, in this first example in stage 3, they're talking about sports equipment or sports goods. And number 2, they're talking about the cost of personnel. So they did a survey and figured out or studied the cost of personnel. And in the third one, they're talking about a new translating machine or a little translating device or little computer, electronic dictionary, if you will. And also in each of these, you can tell that whether it's in the office or whether it's out of the office, and because, as you saw, the grammar is different in those cases. So in the fourth example, they talk about new headphone stereo, and they explain that product and introduce it. So here you have an individual from one company taking the product to another company and going on a sales call. And so what is the different language that they use in that scenario? So that's stage 3. And then finally in stage 4, they give you an opportunity to actually apply what you learn, apply the knowledge, and make it happen. So take what you know and then put it to action, because that's what the objective is here. To learn the concepts, learn the grammar, learn the vocabulary, and then take that and actually apply it in everyday business. So that is a general overview of how each chapter is structured. And so here we've basically gone through chapter 1 of the textbook, just at a high level, just to give you an idea of the structure of the text and how it is put together. Because when you purchase the text and you have the main text and then the text guide, it isn't this clear, believe me. You go through the text and it's really not that clear how things are coming together. And even when you read through the text guide, there's things that you learn in the text guide that are not in the regular text. And so here, what I've done in these slides is try to bring everything together so that you can piece it and put the puzzle together and have an easier way to learn the concepts and the Japanese, the business Japanese. So thank you for joining this introduction of We Mean Business, the second part of the Japanese for Business People series.